I just bought my first ever Audi, and by doing so, I took the biggest challenge I've ever taken. Why? Well, even though this is the cheapest Audi S5 I could possibly find with a 3.0-liter supercharged engine and over $13,000 in modifications, I purchased it mechanically totaled. You said you were just doing pulls and driving and then it just...
Yeah, like I was just driving normally, and then I got the low oil pressure, and then it just went into limp mode and went to start back over. Then I got it towed here.
Oh man. It has a blown up engine due to Audi's notorious PCV system. So I was forced to do this. Yeah. With absolutely no experience of working on an Audi, we were forced to drop the whole drivetrain. Engine, transmission, subframe, everything. We also purchased a new engine, and with the help of FCP EURO, we tackled all of Audi's notorious issues. From all new timing guides, to timing chains, to PCV system, to water pump, to thermostat. We did all the maintenance, so this car, if we get it running, should be 100% problem-free down the line. But why am I going through so much trouble for an Audi? Well, it's my first ever Audi, and also the first ever modern car I ever sat in when I was a little kid in Cuba. And after my sister sent me this, I knew that I had to get one to really relive that moment and make my younger self proud. So here we are with a good engine, a bad engine, and the real question is the car going to start and sounding amazing, or did I do all that for nothing and I messed up the motor doing the timing, or it's a bad motor?
Best of luck to you, because that is a lot of work. I'll go to make some food or something.
The most difficult part for all this is putting everything where it's supposed to go, but also now we have to separate the engine from the transmission and the subframe. So we can throw this new one in. But before we throw this new one in, we have to move all the expensive modifications from here, such as the supercharger with the smaller pulley, the much bigger 80mm APR throttle body, AC compressor, alternator, upgraded high pressure fuel pump, and all the other little things I'm just forgetting at this point. The reason why this transmission is so big and bulky is because it isn't just your regular transmission. Since it's a 4-wheel drive, whoa. All-wheel drive. Repeat it with me. All-wheel drive. Inside the transmission, there's a transfer case, there's a drive shaft, and there is a front differential. There's a lot going on here. Oh, man. I'm definitely thinking twice about my life choices at the moment. And to help us maneuver around 800 to 900 pounds of car parts, we have a transmission jack, along with a bed that's only rated for 500 pounds.
Help me! Help me!
But we do have the mighty old engine hoist, so we should theoretically be okay. Right off the bat, step one is disconnect the transmission from the engine. That means we have to go around the whole bell housing and disconnect all the bolts, which you would think, since everything is outside of the car, it's easy to get to. It is, but also there's a lot of bolts that are very difficult to get to. We're looking really good so far on the impossible bolts. So far, I got all of them. The only two I'm missing is number 9 and number 8. And with a little lamp, we were able to locate number 8 and number 9, which were just under the car, and it's very hard to get to because the transmission is currently sitting on the bed. So there's almost no room to get the bolts. So if you're doing this yourself, when everything is in the car, disconnect the bolts before removing it from the car. But with a lot of patience, we were able to get all the bolts off the transmission, and now the only thing that's holding the engine to the transmission and the subframe is 2 bolts to the engine mounts, 1 on each side. Oh, but I can already see that the transmission is coming apart from the engine, which is absolutely awesome. Ooh, there we go. Felt the engine go up. Oh, jeez. Yep, but here we go, we're almost there. The engine is almost detached from the rest of the drivetrain. It's completely apart. No way. Okay. Now let's be careful about doing this. We're gonna go up with the engine. Let's go this way. That's incredible. Oh yeah, that's it. Look at that. Wow. Wait a minute. What? Oh, I have never seen that before, but we're just gonna leave it there like that. So we have somewhat of an issue. The only thing that's attached these two right now is this wiring loom. And why is it an issue? Because it's going around the front axle. And I believe it's plugging right into the crank sensor, but there's a sensor under the steering rack which I can't get to or even know how to disconnect. But we're just gonna have to get creative now. But the scary part is, if anything fails, we can pretty much say goodbye to my arm, my hand, and it's just not gonna be a fun time. So let's try to get this plug out as fast as possible. Come on. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Massive moment right here, y'all. Massive moment. Let's be very careful. We don't want anything to break. Yes. Amen. I feel like I scored a goal in the World Cup final. Now, before I forget, I do want to throw on the new engine mounts. Big thank you to FCP EURO for providing all the maintenance parts. As you guys saw in the previous episode, we did the timing chain, everything provided by FCP EURO. And well, now they also sent us out the engine mounts and all of that good stuff. If you need any parts for your European car, hit up FCP EURO. The motor mounts is another failing point in this car. Why? Well, it's very advanced. As you can see, the engine mounts have a plug on them, which is extremely weird. But that is because they are hydraulic engine mounts. They are filled with fluid that dampens the vibration caused by the engine. It's really cool, but they do fail. So, since everything is out, we're changing them out. And the great thing about having a fully assembled engine, now I can see how all this goes. Because let's just say after I did all the maintenance, I really forgot how everything went. So that's gonna be an incredible point of reference. Starting with the APR coil packs, which are roughly $300. Even though we got that nice little upgrade and saved a ton of money, we did have to get new spark plugs. We went with NGK 2669, I think. This was a recommendation, and we're gonna gap them to 0.26. And the reason why we're making the gap smaller when we're making more power is because the more power, the more pressure that is inside the cylinder, and the more likely that you're gonna get spark blowout and the spark isn't gonna reach where it needs to reach properly. So a smaller gap will ensure it does what it needs. And typically you don't want like a special tool, but I just have this AutoZone little gapper. We're gonna measure it if it touches. If it's not, we're gonna hit this. And when it's just tight enough, we're done. I definitely don't picture the Audi technicians are doing these at the shop. And that's why they're probably getting paid the big bucks. Me, I'm just trying to survive and get this car running. And we're gonna do that 6 more times. Let's go. Spark plugs are done being gapped. Now we can move on to start putting everything back onto the engine. And I simply just cannot wait to get this car running. Now here's where things get a little bit complicated. When installing Audi's intake manifolds, we have to be very careful because it's not your regular intake manifold. These have runners, or these little flaps that open and close. They are designed to optimize airflow into the engine based on driving conditions. So if you're at lower RPMs, they're a little bit closed, and if you're in wide open throttle, they're fully open to ensure you get the most airflow into the engine. But when installing them, we have to make sure they're fully open. That means I have to apply pressure, because if I don't, they're not going to sit properly and get jammed. We just have to be extra careful with it. And we are changing over the fuel pump because one, I believe it's modified, I'm not 100% sure. But secondly, we know this one works 100%, the one from the new engine, we picked it up from a junkyard, so you just never know with these parts. Even though I have no idea how I'm gonna put this back in the car, I do know Super Bowl 59 is right around the corner, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with today's sponsor and an official partner of the NFL, DraftKings Sportsbook. And we partnered with them to give you guys an incredible offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code DannyZ when signing up. Place a $5 bet on any game and boom, you instantly have $200 in bonus bet to play with. And if you want even more action, you can use your bonus bets on DraftKings Same Game Parlay, or do my personal favorite, bet on the game while it's still live. So don't wait, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, use promo code DannyZ to get $200 in bonus bets after just placing a $5 bet. Thank you so much to DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back and comment below who's gonna win. Honestly, I'm curious to see how the intercoolers look, if they have a bunch of oil on them, if they don't. I'm gonna say they got a bunch of oil on them. Woo. Oh, what? Not too bad. Oh, thank God we're changing this. Check that out. That is disgusting. You can clearly see how coolant mixed up with oil, and you got all sorts of weird slush in there. But thankfully, like Chris Vic says, out with the old and in with the new. We have to give a massive thank you to FCP EURO for partnering up with us in this build. Here we go, y'all. Big moment right here. Time to throw on the good old Hellcat blower. Oh boy. Okay, so we pretty much messed up. I got way too excited installing the Hell Kitty Kitty blower, and we absolutely crushed a connector. Thankfully, we have another engine over there. As you're seeing, this connector is just no good at all, but the pins are still good and the wires are still good. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I think we can de-pin this. And this is the plug that goes to the actuators that open up and open and close the intake valves. Or not valves, the little gates, you could say. Come on. Oh, nice. Ladies and gentlemen, the engine is fully complete. Wow, that took all day. Here we go, y'all. Once this engine goes on the air, that's it. One thing I am going to do is put some grease because these engine mounts slide down into a perfectly fit groove, if that makes any sense. So anything that'll make it slippery will help. But something I noticed, the starter doesn't look right. Come on out, buddy. Well, I hope that didn't break. There we go. That's how it's supposed to sit. Never mind, got it wrong again. Good thing I filmed everything, and how crazy is it that if you want to do the starter on this car, you have to remove this motor mount and somehow get in there just to remove it. Pretty much the engine has to come out if you're gonna do the starter on this car. That's ridiculous. Wow. I have a feeling in the future I'm going to hate myself for not changing out the starter. Just like that. Whew. Hopefully I can do this by myself. Here we go, boys. And now we start putting everything back. First things first is connecting the engine to the subframe through the engine mounts. Okay, so we have to jack up the bed. Big problem, my friend. This has to be forward like this, but I can't move the engine forward and push down like that. Another thing just happened. You guys remember this plate? Probably don't. I don't think I've talked about it, but this goes in between the engine and the flywheel. I guess in the bright side, it's a good thing that I saw it laying down on the ground. Now we have to pull back the engine, drop it, take off the flywheel. This goes just like that. Why? I couldn't tell you. Put everything back, and we're good to keep going. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I'm an idiot. Oh my gosh. We've got to be more careful. Let's keep going. The engine mount needs to go down precisely and slide right into there. After that's bolted up, we can then start focusing on lining up the middle of the flywheel with the torque converter that goes into the transmission. In simple terms, this needs to go directly into this, so everything bolts up properly. Now that the engine is locked into place, we can start messing with the transmission to get all the bell housing bolts lined up and bolted up. Oh no! Oh, no way! Are you kidding me? Ah, we're almost there, and we just had our first actual casualty. We're almost there, though. Check this out. Oh, can we do it? Oh, it's so close. It's so close. But if you're all wondering how I'm able to do this, I simply cannot do it without the greatest person on earth. Crystal is literally just simply the best person I've ever met. And after I enjoyed my protein bowl, ladies and gentlemen, would you believe me if I said this is the final bowl we have and everything's pretty much assembled and done? Wow, this is difficult. This is difficult. Here we go. It feels like we're halfway there, but in reality, we have so much more work ahead of us, but really just one step at a time. What a massive accomplishment it is that we got everything met up and perfectly ready to go inside of the car. Brand new O2 is in, but I just realized we have an issue, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good stud. That's a bad stud. Oh no. Stud is completely snapped. But thankfully, I do have this extractor tool, and I'm gonna try my best to carefully extract it out, and then we can get a stud from that engine and put it in here. So how this works is, you can see it expands and then it tightens up, allowing us to grab it and hopefully pull it up. Unfortunately, the stud and the tool have a different idea in mind. That's looking tough, y'all. That's looking tough. I don't want to keep wasting time, so we're just gonna remove this header and put it on this engine. You might think this alternative is a lot more work, but in reality, when you're messing with extracting broken studs, it could take either 10 more minutes or 3 more hours, which we can't risk it. We don't have. But now we can put the down pipes on, or the test pipes, and well, I think that's the last thing before we start throwing everything back. There we go. Much better. And now we can throw on the test pipes. And a crazy fact that I just learned about, these cars' engines are known for blowing up due to bad catalytic converters. How crazy is that? Well, another stud is snapped. I even tried my best, but too old and rusty. Too old and rusty. So we're gonna remove the other header. Unfortunately, yet another stud was snapped. So now we have to successfully do the extraction mission because we have to move a stud from the old header to the new engine's header. Success. Let's go. Here we have the wiring. Everything's pretty much set up. I feel really good except for these 2 plugs. They're completely broken and I don't quite know exactly where they go, although I think this one is for the secondary O2 sensor because it looks just like the one from the other side. But this little one, I have no idea where this one goes. No idea at all. Like, so I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is I know exactly where these 2 go. The bad news is for the O2 sensor, and the new one I bought, well, it has the wrong plug. And I would repin it into this one, but this one only has 5 pin locations, while this one has 6. We win some and we lose some. I guess we're going with the old plugs, y'all. But nothing's gonna stop us from completing this project, that's for sure. This alternator bolt, I simply don't understand how anybody can get their hand in there. But hey, it's an Audi. Alternator on. AC because we're in Florida, on. Downpipes, on. New headers, on. All the wiring, done. But we have an issue. If you come right over here, I cannot seem to find the secondary O2 sensor. It goes right into there, and I simply can't find it. I know I have a really big mess, but... And no, it's not. It's not this one. Yeah, I simply cannot find it. At all. But let's go. Everything is done. So I'm gonna put everything back. Cannot believe we made it to this point. The moment we've all pretty much been waiting for. Just throw the new drivetrain in the car and pray to God it works. Now I do have a feeling that putting it in is gonna be harder than pulling it out, but one, we have to make sure we're putting in the engine the correct way. We have to be careful we don't break any hoses, any wires, any plugs. Double check that the struts aren't hitting the frame, they're going right where they need to be going.
I got a good strategy going.
And above all that, the transmission needs to line up perfectly with the drive shaft that's waiting for it in the car. And of course, we have to make sure the subframe bolts match up to the frame. Okay, how do I get out? Oh, I didn't think this through. Oh shoot, I'm stuck, yo, I'm stuck. Okay, we pretty much ran out of room in there, unfortunately. So now we're just gonna have to pull and just kind of maniggle, or is that a word, maniggle? Everything in there from the front, which is gonna be a little harder, but I think we got it. Found it. Ugh. We're almost there. One thing for sure though, I'm sleeping good tonight. But to be able to finish this job, we need help. Shout out to my lovely wife. I'm gonna be under the car and I'm gonna be pushing this shifter up. This shifter has 4 bolts. 2 in the back, 2 in the front. And you see there's 2 holes up top and 2 at the bottom. Yeah. We gotta try to align it and shoot and feel it through. I simply can't blame her. I've been working on this car for so long, I simply have something I like to call mechanic brain rot. My intellectual abilities are currently at a 30%.
Yep, push through. What the heck? The plastic thing doesn't even line up.
And after what took way longer than I thought it was gonna, she got it. She freaking got it. You are a legend. Yes. Everything's almost in, and thankfully, as you know, we broke this, unfortunately. Well, this one just came in, so now we can change it out. Everything is still lowered. Thank God, because I don't want to change this out when the car's fully in the car. There. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. By far the most difficult part is making sure all the subframe bolts line up properly. And I believe to make things a little bit easier, the smart thing to do would be put the struts in place where they need to go. From there, we should be able to start lining up the holes better, then fully straighten out the transmission. We're almost there. Look at the transmission mount. I think we're gonna be able to get it, because not only that, we can slide it out, so. Oh, that's it right there. And now we should have a better shot at actually bolting up the subframe. Whew, we got it. It actually worked. And you may have seen seconds of it, but this took hours to do. A massive thank you to Papa Z for pulling up and helping on this side. This will definitely make things go a lot faster. Ladies and gentlemen, after what was the biggest job I've ever done in all my years of working on cars, we finally did it. We did it. So now I'm gonna lower this jack or engine hoist. I'm gonna take the table off, and the engine and the drivetrain should stay on the car. If it falls off, my bad. It should stay on though. Here we go, very steady. We're good. This is insane. And that goes to show that doesn't matter what anybody tells you that's gonna be too difficult or you can't do. Well, trust me, if you take your time, you practice, or I don't know what you're trying to do, but trust me, you can do it. And the fact that we did this is insane. Now, I'm just praying that it starts up and that this car isn't gonna end up in a dumpster if it doesn't start up and sound fine. This has felt like the journey of a lifetime. From ups to downs to pushing around over 700 pounds. We're here. We did it. The drivetrain is in the car, fully bolted up how it should be. Ready to start up.
This deserves a massive thumbs up and subscribe. I barely asked for it and I never mentioned it, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna get a little aggressive, but if you have not hit that subscribe button and turned on notifications for whenever I upload. Just kidding, I love y'all. Just you watching me do stupid things like this is a massive blessing. And that's one of the reasons I like doing little giveaways and doing things like this, to give back in any way I can.
Even though we made it this far, it feels like I have so much more ahead of me. Which we technically do. If you're impressed as to how I remember where everything goes, don't be. I literally took unlimited pictures and videos to know exactly how everything goes routed, where everything goes plugged into, and even where the clips go. So if you're doing anything on a car, make sure to document how it went before you took it apart.
You know what that means, right? And this car does take a whopping 7.2 quarts of oil. So it's gonna be one of these, and then I'm just gonna do 2 of little bottles. My heart's pounding really bad right now.
Okay, here we go.
Boom.
Here we go.
Let's see if the car gets power.
Heart rate might be at 200 beats per minute.
Okay. Car has power. Car has power. It started, but it died. But it started. What is life? I'm shaking. I'm gonna clean this up. Let's put this on because this is it has to do with oil. And we can get going. We can get going.
That was the greatest worst start I've ever heard. But the car started. The starter works, the wiring is good. It started.
Charging battery. Here we go.
What is life? Are you kidding me? And Papa Z absolutely loved it too. He's seen me do countless of things in this little garage, but even he was extremely worried about this project because, like I've mentioned, it is a lot of work and engineering with a platform I've simply never even driven. But with the help of God, we did it.
Doesn't feel real. I mean, by the looks of it, let's get serious for a second. The car sounded amazing. I revved it. Everything sounded good. Oh my gosh. We got the timing right. The amount of pressure on my shoulders just... Oh my gosh, you guys. That's insane. I mean...
And now we can really start to button up everything, including start pulling cooling into the car, which we're using G40, extremely fun in stores, so I went ahead and got it from FCP EURO. Unfortunately, there's kind of a big coolant leak going on. Yup, from the top radiator hose. Fortunately, we're going to figure something out. Unfortunately, there's no place to get this hose at this time.
Here's my thought. Since this hose, I guess the O-ring inside is just bad, it's crusty, I don't know. Either way, since this one's bad, what I think is I'm gonna cut right here, swap out, and I think we're gonna have a good hose. I'm praying. Let's go.
I definitely should have done a test run, but we have to be extremely careful. We cannot cut through the hose.
Oof. So, do you guys see that? I almost just cut through the hose, but hose is good. Oh, I cut through the hose on this one. Check this out, y'all. I really pray this works. Look at that. It's not gonna be as nice as this one-time clamp. We're gonna have to use this one, but it should work, y'all. It should work. No, this is not a smoking device, but we have an issue. The car simply doesn't start. I believe it's because we don't have a lot of pressure, brake pedal pressure, because we did lose a lot of fluid when changing out the brakes. So this little device, we put it over the brake reservoir, we pump a lot of pressure in there, and it's as if someone was pressing the brake pedal, but we don't need someone to do that. So we're gonna leave it up here, apply pressure, then we can go on both sides, bleed the system, and then hopefully start the car, bleed the car, drive the car.
You may notice I didn't fill it up with fluid, which you need to do. With this device, it's actually very, very good for bleeding brakes, especially if you're doing it by yourself. Highly recommend. I believe I picked it up on Amazon for around $30. This car has been running for quite a long time and it sounds so incredibly good. The only thing that's scaring me is there's smoke coming from the engine bay, specifically from the valve covers. But we did redo the timing, opened up the valve covers, under the supercharger, everywhere. So I'm sure the car's just burning things off. We should be okay.
I don't know, there's also bad gas in there, but overall the car sounds great.
So how are you feeling right now?
I have never seen this before in my life. It's all the way, look how cool the little screen is, but it's all the way on hot. The AC is still cold, so that means it hasn't entered the heater core that's inside here. But check this out. It hasn't gotten hot yet. Keep in mind, the car's been on for a very long time. So, but man, this thing sounds, let's see how it sounds from the inside. This is crazy.
Yup, that's a pile of oil under the car.
I haven't gotten under the car yet, but I'm very ashamed of myself. This is the rear main seal. If this car is leaking oil that bad through the rear main seal.
Oh my god, bro, that's crazy. That's insane. Wow.
I completely forgot to install the rear main seal.
And if you're wondering why I'm being so dramatic,
Well, that's it right there. There it is, the rear main seal. Truly a rookie mistake. We were so focused on, is the timing right, is it not right, getting everything back together, this and that, and so overwhelmed, I completely forgot to do the rear main seal. And now it's leaking, and now, yes, we have to drop the transmission. But you guys, we've done all this work on this car. The least we could do is drive it. Let's go drive it. I'm gonna finish everything up. Next clip you see, it's gonna be on the ground and we're driving it.
or so I thought. Turns out there's something very wrong going on with the transmission.
Nice. What was that sound?
There's a weird screeching sound whenever the car is in gear and when I'm pressing the brake. It goes into gear perfectly and the wheels sometimes rotate, but as soon as I start pressing the brakes to slow down, the screeching, weird clunking sound starts. And then if I put it back into drive, the wheels don't move anymore.
looking through the footage, I noticed when I first took apart the engine, I noticed that fire ring right there. Now, I know for a fact when I was putting the engine back into the transmission, I put the fire ring on here instead of the torque converter. What if I was supposed to put it on the torque converter so then it had a stopping point here on the flywheel rather than it maybe going all the way down, because I put it on here and then when pushing it in, it brought it all the way down. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm right. Audi people, please help me. I think I'm gonna have to drop the transmission. No.